Welcome back. So today we have really big, exciting news. We're making Enlisted a better place, and we haven't had news for a while. This one is actually looking to be pretty good, though. So let's get into it. We're adjusting battle ratings. Starting from the top, we have the USSR. The DPM is going from BR4 to BR3. It's basically a Degtyarev. Not really super surprising, probably a good change. The PPD 1944 is a premium going from 4 to 3. This is actually probably one to look at. It is an assault squad, so in my opinion, not super high value, but they're pretty decent guns from what I've seen. I don't personally own the squad, but I have tested them and I've picked them up in battle. As I recall, it's like a partisan submachine gun, and it does have a drum mag, so you're going to get decent ammo on it. At BR3, it's probably going to see more play. The big one here for Russia, though, is the Su-76. I think getting the Su-76 at BR2 is going to be nuts, because right now, the T-28 is kind of a piece of crap. It's this big, lumbering, slow tank, but it's got a big gun. But the Su-76 at BR3, it was like, why not just take a T-34? Get the same thing, but with armor. Well, at BR2, you're getting this self-propelled gun, I don't know, artillery, anti-tank gun. You get the idea, right? It's open-topped, so you're going to be kind of vulnerable, but you're getting a 76. So any German tank you see, you should theoretically be able to kill. And if you can get in a position where you're not getting blasted away, you're probably going to be able to deal with a lot of their infantry. But, you are open topped, so somebody throwing a Molotov at you is going to ruin your day. So keep that in mind. Still, I think that's probably the most exciting change for the Soviets. Moving on to America, though, and this is probably the most exciting part for me personally. I know there's a part later on we're going to get to that's probably way more exciting for all of you. But for me, the SMLE Mark III and the Lee-Enfield No. 4 Mark I are going from BR3 to BR2 finally. After what, 3, 4, 5 months, however long it's been since the merge, we finally are getting these British rifles, bolties, by the way, from BR3 to BR2. At BR3, it was like, why bring them? You can bring an M1 Grand. It's got 8 rounds. It's semi-automatic. Honestly, the M1 Grand, you can play it in BR 3, 4, 5, do just fine. Doesn't even matter. But at BR2, you're competing with what? The Ross rifle? The Ross rifle is awesome. It shoots very quickly. But the Lee-Enfield No. 4 Mark I is probably my personal favorite for bolt-action rifles on the Allied side. I used to use them all the time pre-merge. It has a 10-round magazine loaded from 2 5-round stripper clips. It's awesome. I love that gun. SMLE, whatever. I do have a bunch of them in my stockpile, though, so it'll see use too. But that Lee-Enfield No. 4 Mark I, that is huge for my Allied Army. I don't know about yours, but mine, we're going to be cracking out the Lee-Enfields. Moving on from there, the Winchester G30M is going to be moving down from BR3 to BR2. It is a 5-round magazine loaded from a stripper clip. I think it's a 4-man engineer squad, used to be in the Pacific. They're kind of whatever. As I'm sure you know, I'm not a huge fan of 4-man squads. Most engineer premium squads are just a bust for me, but if you've got them, cool. The UD M42 is going from BR3 to BR2. As I recall, it was a Normandy premium. I'm pretty sure they use the 9mm Thompson adjacent thing, or maybe it's a 30 cal Thompson adjacent weapon. I think the big draw to them is that they have twin magazines, so when you reload, your first reload is quick. So, like every other reload. Because I'm pretty sure they have 2 magazines that are stuck together and they're like one's upside down, so you just pull it out, stick it in, boom, done. I mean, I don't have them. I've never heard anything bad about them. I'm sure that they're perfectly adequate, but it's a 5-man, I assume. Premium assault squad. I'm pretty sure all assault squads are 5-man now, because the ones that didn't have an engineer can add on an engineer. Moving on from there, the M18 is moving from 5 to 4. Right now, that's completely irrelevant, but hopefully one day in the not so far off future, that will matter. Moving on from there, the M24 Premium is moving from BR3 to BR2, and this is huge. As I recall, it uses the same gun as the Sherman, like the base Sherman, and I'm almost certain it uses the 75 off the Sherman. So what you're gonna get is a light tank that's very mobile with a gun that at BR2 is gonna be awesome. So similar to the SU-76, you should be able to deal with all of the Axis tanks that you run into. Certainly all the Japanese tanks that you run into. And you'll be able to deal with the terrain in the Pacific pretty well. You'll be able to move around pretty well in like Ardennes and whatnot. I think that's the one to be on the lookout for. Of all the tanks that we've talked about, and I guess we've only talked about 3, but if this one goes on sale, I mean, I wouldn't just automatically bite on something in Enlisted, but keep an eye on it. It might actually turn out to be really, really strong at BR3, or BR2 rather, now that it doesn't have to play up to BR5. Moving on to Germany, the ZB-26 is going from BR3 to BR2. It's going to be pretty stiff competition down there, but I haven't used this very much. It is a Czech light machine gun, and I think it has a 20 or 25 round top loading box mag. The MG13 is perfectly adequate, and I kind of like the Breda Mod 30s personally. So it's probably going to be better than the Breda. I just don't know if it's going to be better than the MG13. I'll probably make a video about it in the next week or two, because it's a gun I haven't used that much, so it could be fun to pick up a few of them and run around and see how they do. The VG2 is moving from BR3 to BR2, which is kind of a big deal. As I recall, it is a Kurtz cartridge, semi-auto. I think it's a rifle. I mean, to me, it's a rifle. It's like a carbine, but I can't remember if it goes on riflemen or if it goes on assaulters. I used to run it on my tankers. It's like a Volkssturm weapon from the end of the war. I'm pretty sure it uses the same magazine as the STG-44 and like the MP-43, all those. So if it's a BR2 and you can put it on riflemen, it's going to be really good. If it's an assaulter weapon, I'm probably not going to use it, to be honest. Moving on from there, the Carcano M41 and 98 are moving from BR3 to 2. There's a lot of bolt action snipers in this game that, for whatever stupid reason, are above BR2. It is what it is. I'm glad that they're moving down. I really don't have much to say about it. I think I'd still rather use the scoped Car 98, but that's just me. I think they have a scoped pre-war Car 98. Anyway, moving on. The Beretta M1 is going from 3 to 2. This is kind of a big deal because it has a 40-round magazine. It's basically an MP40. It basically does everything an MP40 does, but it was at BR3. Now it's at BR2. My guys are going to use them a lot. I used them a bunch on my BR2 lineup. I used to use them a ton in Tunisia. They're very good guns, in my opinion. That being said, is it worth spending the silver to buy a bunch of them if you already have MP40s? Probably not. They're not that different. You're only getting like 8 more rounds. Are they going to beat out the Soviets? Probably not. You do get more ammo, but the PPS Mafia is definitely going to take you to town. They're just the best submachine guns at the BR. What can you do about it? The Irma EMP36 Premium Squad's going from 3 to 2. I appreciate that because I have them. I picked them up back in the day because they look really cool. They basically have tan beige trench coats. I mean, they look like they rolled out of Stalingrad, but they're in the middle of the desert. I just think they look really cool. They basically use crooked MP40s. Effectively, it's an MP40, but the magazine, well, instead of being straight vertical, is canted a little bit to the left, so I mean, it's an assault squad that's a premium, so 5 dudes, one of them's an engineer. I'm going to use it just for funsies, but is it super competitive? Hell no. But they do look cool. The OG43 event, now this is probably the single biggest piece of news for everybody here. The OG-43 Event Paratrooper Squad is going from BR4 to BR2. Now, there will be more notes about this at the end, and we'll get to it then, but this means the Germans/Italians, because these guys are actually Italian, are getting a BR2 Paratrooper Squad. For those of us who weren't playing at the time, it was just in the middle of one of my breaks, we get fucked. But I am really happy for all of my German teammates out there that we are finally going to have paratrooper parity with all of the other nations. Moving on from there, the Pavesi M42 BP is moving from BR3 to BR2. I only have one of these, but it's a really cool gun. And now that they're at BR2, I could see myself getting more of them. Basically, it's a semi-automatic Italian rifle. It shoots the 8mm anti-aircraft round. The idea behind it in game, I think, is that it's just a hard-hitting, small-ish magazine semi-auto rifle, but it's probably better than the Armaguerra. I'd have to look at them side by side in game, but I suspect it's better than the Armaguerra. Moving on from there, the MP40 Silenced has gone from BR3 to BR2, so small victories. The Dicker Max is moving from BR4 to BR3. That's going to be huge. So 105 AT gun, open-topped, probably not the best armor, but at BR3, this is going to be pretty good. I can see people matchmake scumming with it, where they just leave every BR5 game and only play it in BR3. And it's gonna kill everything at BR3. Absolutely. Those KV1s that you occasionally run into, they will not have a good day. I'm sure that the 105 will also just delete infantry, but hey, it's open top, so beware of Molotovs. A little bit of fire ends up in there, your day's ruined. Moving on to Japan, the Type Hiei Battle Pass rifle is moving from BR4 to 3. And the Nato is moving from BR4 to 3. Don't really care. Now, moving on from there, we're getting the Get All reward button for the Battle Pass. So now when you turn in all of your stars and get all of your weekly challenges done, and you've got like 2 or 3 or 4, however many rewards to claim, you can just hit one button. Now, tweaking the paratrooper supply crate. This is in reference to a few squads, actually. I initially thought this was just the OG-43s, but no, there's more. So, they affect the Thompson 100, the Krieghoff FG for Germany, and the OG-43 for Germany. So, of course, the biggest change is for the OG-43, they moved to BR2. So, in BR1 to 3 battles, only 2 of your soldiers will get flamethrowers. I'm honestly surprised they're getting any, but that's fine with me. And in BR4 and 5 battles, you still get 6 flamethrowers. Plus, in other sets, the weapons will be suited to higher BR battles. So, that's nice. It's always a good thing when they take the BR5 paratrooper boxes and they make them actually representative of BR5. Like, playing the Americans in the past and dropping in and pulling out a fucking M1 bazooka at BR5, where you shoot it at the side of a tank straight on and it just plinks off, you're just like, oh, this is great. So, seeing these changes, that will be nice. So moving on from there, other changes, they fixed an issue where it was too dark after a draft driver reset. They fixed a matchmaking issue that allowed you to get into BR1 to 3 battles with higher BR weapons. You know, I feel like they fix the same bug like once a month, and I feel like it keeps popping up. Alright, they improved the characteristics of the following weapons: the M1C Garand, increased accuracy and damage; the ZK-383 for Germany, they increased the fire rate; they reduced recoil by 25%; the Carcano M91 with scope mount increased the rate of fire from 33 to 40; and the Type 4 rifle, they reduced the reload from 5.2 to 4 seconds. That's actually pretty nice. It's like a whole second and a quarter cut off. That's a lot. Fixed the visual artifacts that appear around the ghillie suits of the AT-44 USSR squad in the PlayStation 4, And they fixed the position of the pilot's head in the Key 61 to Otsukai for Japan during maneuvering. Finally, they improved the position of the pilot's head on the throttle in the Mosquito. So, we're getting some pretty spicy changes. The low BRs are really getting shaken up here. The American rifle paradigm is going to go into chaos. Not really. If you played before the merge, you can use your good guns again. If you didn't play before the merge, it honestly might not be worth spending the silver to get the Lee Enfields. I like them, but the Ross rifle is actually a really good gun. It's still probably one of the most competitive rifles at its BR, just out of its fire rate. So we'll probably look at that in the future. Gives me something to talk about. A lot of the German changes are kind of whatever, but the really big one is the BR2 paratroopers. I actually think that's going to be huge. Anyway, let me know what you think down below. As per usual, get out there, kick ass, take names, and win your games.